Yo dudes! Welcome to Apple Pie 3-Way. So we've been running an annual apple pie contest for over 10 years. So we really have seen the good, the bad and the ugly of apple pies.
We're going to show you in this video how to make 3 of the most popular entries. We're going to make an apple crumble, we're going to make an apple strudel, and we're going to make a French galette. All of them are delicious, based around apples and other seasonal fruit. They're quick, they're easy, and all your family and friends will love them. Here we go.
First apple pie we're going to start with is Apfelstrudel.
Apfelstrudel. This is from Austria, Österreich.
Ich liebe die Strudel sehr. So in terms of fruit you're going to need 3 apples. We're going to use eating apples as opposed to a bitter Bramley cooking apple. 1 pear and about 100 grams of blackberries, all in season at the moment. You could peel them or not peel them, whichever you prefer. Traditionally they are peeled, but I'm going to leave the peel in just because it's higher in fibre and more nutritious for you.
Yeah, I think they said is 90% of the nutrition of an apple is actually in the skin rather than in the flesh of the apple. Did you know? Dun, dun, dun. A top tip when you're chopping your fruit is just to make sure that it's super fine. The finer you chop it, the quicker it's going to cook, the gooier and the sweeter it's going to taste.
And try to make it a similar size so it's all going to cook in a similar time frame. Okay, next step, time to sweeten it. We're going to use coconut sugar. If you don't have coconut sugar, just use brown sugar. I'm going to go in 4 to 5 tablespoons. If you're using more bitter apples, increase the sugar. If you're using cinnamon, normally put in a strudel. I'm going to put in a little pinch. If you like it, put in a little more. If you don't, leave it out.
And obviously you could put in nutmeg or clove or any of those other kind of seasonal aromatic spices.
I love using my hands. Make sure they're clean. In they go. Just give it a good mix.
So this is an apple strudel. So all we've done is we've bought some phyllo pastry in the local supermarket. Literally leave it thaw overnight, but definitely not easier to buy it. It's cheap to buy and it will pretty much always be vegan, certainly in Ireland anyway.
Roll it out, long side down. Now with phyllo pastry you want to oil between each sheet. It'll just encourage more puffing up and more pastry-like. Take a pastry brush, take your sheet.
Make sure they're well thawed, it's quite important. So we've got a baking tray here with a tiny bit of baking parchment.
So just be careful here, every sheet is quite thin. So we're just putting down the final sheet there. Generally in a roll of phyllo pastry there'll be about 6 to 7 sheets. Just oil in between them all, lay them down like that. Now we're ready to go.
Okay, so we've got our bowl of all our prepped fruit. We're simply going to add it in a little line.
Okay, time to roll up our strudel. So just be careful here. It's like rolling up a Wellington. So we're just going to bring the sides in.
You kind of, top tip which I would say is you kind of have to own it, as in go in there with confidence. If you go in half-hearted, you're probably going to lose lots of your fruit.
Hold the seam down, get the help from your brother. Now we're going to roll it over. Try to hold the ends and we're going to flip it over. Just be careful, land her down. Now to maximize some goldenage, we're going to just put a little bit of
oil on the top.
Yep.
And if you didn't want to use oil, you could actually use oat milk or some kind of non-dairy milk. It also helps with the browning or the caramelizing of it.
So we preheated the oven to 200 degrees. We're going to put this in and bake this until it goes crispy golden and beautifully brown. It'll take about 30 minutes. Give it time because you want to make sure the apple's soft and gooey and caramelizes inside.
So the second apple pie we're going to make is an apple crumble. This is our personal favorite. It's absolutely delicious, it's decadent, and it's easy to make.
One our granny used to make, the great May Flynn, and this is dedicated to you, Granny.
Okay, so you approximately need about 1 kilo of fruit. We're using apples, pears, and blackberries. And once again, you're going to chop it super fine. We're going to leave the skin on because we're using sweet fruit rather than a bitter cooking apple, if you know what I mean. Yeah, and as I said before, there's about 90% of the nutrition of an apple is actually in the skin, so I think it's going to add much more fibre and nutrition by leaving the skin on. Okay, so as I said, we've got about 1 kilo of prepped fruit there. Something which I quite like, do if you like it or not, you can squeeze in the juice of an orange. It's just going to help kind of simmering away, it'll add a sweetness and give a citrusy note to your fruit.
Just put your hand there to catch any pips. Just adds another dimension, ever so slight little bit of difference.
Okay, so a couple other things to add to our base, our fruit filling, is I've got a teaspoon of vanilla extract. It's going to give a caramelly note to our fruit.
I'm going to put a little pinch of nutmeg. Again, be careful with nutmeg. There's a bit of clove in there, it can dominate quite quickly. And I'm going to go with a little pinch of cinnamon. Again, if you don't like either, leave them out. They just add a slight bit more of,
a touch of kind of aromatic spices, really.
4 tablespoons, I'm going to go with coconut sugar. Go with whatever sugar you have, brown sugar,
castor, whatever kind
Maple
of sugar.
syrup, whatever you have. Granulated sugar does work great for a crumble though. And last and final things, I've got 5 to 6 tablespoons of water. It's just going to enable the crumble to stew down and end up much more like liquidy, gooey, stewed fruit as opposed to kind of whole fruit.
Okay, so you need an oven-proof crumble dish. So this is just a simple Pyrex dish. So I've got my prepped fruit. We're gonna add it to the bottom of the dish.
Make sure all the moisture ends up in there because that's very important so that it actually stews down. The fruit stews as opposed to really caramelizes.
So oftentimes making a crumble, people will stew the fruit down first. We're taking the lazy option, works just as well and easily where we're not gonna stew it first. It's all gonna happen in the oven, all the stewing.
Okay, to make our topping, we've got into our bowl, I have 60 grams of coconut oil. With our coconut oil, go in with your hands and just slowly melt it. Coconut oil, predominantly a saturated fat, and the heat in your hands is gonna help break it down and end up just more like kind of a buttery, liquidy, viscous solution.
Okay, so in on top of our 60 grams of coconut oil, I've got 75 grams of rolled oats. So use gluten-free oats if you want it to be gluten-free. I've got 75 grams of ground almond, also known as almond flour.
Or almond meal.
Or almond meal, yes, depending on where you live in the world. And we've got 75 grams of white flour. Obviously use gluten-free flour if you want it to be gluten-free.
Last and final bit, we've got 4 tablespoons of coconut sugar. Again, try to use a granulated sweetener. It's just gonna add that extra bit of bite and a little bit of character to your crumble. Okay, so when you're mixing your crumble, just be careful that the coconut oil is evenly dispersed. Time to pop our crumble on top. Let's go with a thin layer. If you go with too thick a layer, your crumble isn't gonna crunch up. It's gonna end up soft and soggy.
Okay, so oven is preheated to 180 degrees for this one, and we're gonna bake it for 30 to 40 minutes until it starts to golden up and turn brown.
Et finalement, nous allons faire une galette.
Une galette, it will be the best of all the pies we are making.
Okay, this is a French galette, originally from Normandy. It's kind of like a flat pie, beautiful autumn dessert, incredibly delicious and very simple. So just to make it super easy, we're gonna use some store-bought short crust pastry. Very easy to make. We just want to keep this really simple. So in your store-bought short crust pastry, there'll be 2 rolls. We're gonna put them together because we want to make this a big galette. Oh, so what we're doing here is there's 2 sheets in our short crust pastry. We want to bring them together to make one big galette. So you can do 2 small ones, 6-person individual size, whatever way you like it. Flour or rolling pin, easiest way to transfer it is
That's how we marry it.
Quand you fais la galette.
Oh, that was clever, wasn't it?
Very clever.
Jeez, there's some man stuff on.
Voila! Ça c'est le galette. So now to make our filling, so what we've done is we've sliced 2 apples really thinly. Make sure your slices are very consistent.
We've sliced them into half moon shapes, so they're lengthwise and half moon shaped. The appearance of this dish is very important, so do really try to chop them like that. Okay, so we've got 2 apples and 1 pear. In on top of that for our filling, our fruit filling, we've got a teaspoon of vanilla extract.
And then similarly to the crumble, we're going to get a little pinch of cinnamon, about half a teaspoon.
And I'm going to go with a decent pinch of nutmeg.
Juice of 1 orange, just squeeze it in, put your hand there just to catch any pips.
And obviously to add the bit of sweet, we're going to go in with 5 tablespoons. We're using coconut sugar again, but once again, use any kind of granulated sugar. So it might be cast or it might be white sugar.
Xylitol. And now for my favorite bit, take your clean hands and gently mix it because you don't want your fruit breaking. It's really important that the appearance of this dish maintains its integrity. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to trim the corners just so it's nice and oval.
And obviously any excess pastry you can keep and make a little mini galette.
It freezes really well too. Okay, now we've got our oval. Time to start building our galette.
Galette.
So we've laid out our apple and pears, and you'll notice there's a few spare apples and a little bit of the sauce. The sauce is really important because this will help just caramelize and really help create more flavor. So just, okay, time to roll our galette. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take that extra 1.5 inch, just slowly, carefully, just bring it in.
So it's literally just like tucking in your fruit before it goes to bed.
And if you want to, you can kind of create a few little perforations to make it look pretty. So last and final step, we've got some white caster sugar here, or else some xylitol, whichever you have. We're just gonna slowly just sprinkle it along the outside.
Okay, so we've preheated the oven to 180 degrees. We're gonna bake this for approximately 30 minutes until it goes up. Okay, so here we are. We've taken them all out of the oven. They've cooled. They are ready to get stuck into.
Not sure which you'd pick. So here's the crumble, this is the galette, and this is the strudel.
I'm gonna start off with the strudel. Here we go. It's cooled nicely. Still a little bit warm. Et voila. That is the strudel.
So say the strudel.
Can I taste? Here we go.
Oh, the crispiness of the beautiful pastry.
Banging.
Oh, beautiful. That's super tasty, really delicious, really crispy, flaky. Taste not too sweet, like really, really good.
I'm not biased. I'd give it a 10 out of 10 at least. Okay, crumble. Our personal
Crumble, so
favorite.
you'll see with the moisture, the vegetables or the fruit has stewed. It's held its body, but it's stewed quite significantly. I love a good apple crumble. It's hard to beat. This is like
I feel like I'm eating my childhood. You could do something.
there you are, apple pie 3 ways. We have an apple pie competition October 6th. You're all invited. Church Road, Greystones, 2 p.m. There's going to be 5 judges. Normally there's about 30 or 40 apple pies. It makes a fabulous day.
But this is apple pie 3 ways. They're all easy. They all kind of take about 30 minutes. They're higher in fibre than your average dessert. Great family desserts are for celebration or any kind of occasion. Tag anyone who you think would appreciate this or share it with them. And if you do make it, leave a comment down below.
Thanks
a million.
Cheers.